The weather was chilly, like a cold glass of beer, which you're drinking while eating a bowl of chili. I just got into my office and barely had time to take off my coat when the man in the suit walked in. I asked him who he was. He told me he couldn't tell me. I asked him what he could tell me. He told me he had a job offer. A top secret briefcase had been stolen. His clients wanted me to get it back. I told him no. He told me how much they would pay. I told him I changed my mind. It was the case of the missing case. Apparently the person who stole it would be handing it off to an accomplice that night at a nearby restaurant. I brought my gun, just in case. I got to the takeout steakhouse and set up my stakeout. Hours went by. No one showed up. It was quiet. Too quiet. Like a mime. It was getting late out. Was this stakeout just some sort of fake out? Then I realized the steakhouse was connected to a lake house. They weren't coming by car. They were coming by boat. I made a mistake. I snuck around back into the kitchen. Sure enough, there were the two men. Sure enough, there was the briefcase. Sure enough, I accidentally bumped into some pots and pans. It was loud. Too loud. Like the opposite of a mime. The two men pulled their guns. I pulled my gun. It was a standoff. The kind of standoff where you look at one guy, and then he looks at the other guy, and then the other guy looks at you, and then you look back at the first guy, and then that guy winks at you, which is weird. Is that some kind of signal? Or maybe his eye just has an itch. Maybe he can't scratch it. Maybe his hands are too busy holding a gun. We stared at each other. We circled the room. Doves flew between us. I considered my options. Knives, boiling water, garlic. If only one of them was a vampire. Forks, spoons, a steak. If only one of them was a vampire. Tensions were escalating. Things were boiling over. Our clockwise circling of each other turned into counterclockwise circling. That meant a shootout was about to erupt. So I made an offer. I told him how much money I was being paid for the briefcase. I told him we could split it 3 ways. We could make a deal. None of us had to die tonight. The stakes were too high. They looked at each other. They looked at me. They took the deal. I left with the briefcase and brought it to our rendezvous at the safe house by the lake house steakhouse. The man in the suit was waiting. He congratulated me, said it was a job well done, like a steak. I handed him the briefcase. I asked him when I'd be paid. He handed me back the briefcase. I opened it, full of cash, just like I'd been promised. I closed the case. Case closed. The next morning, the weather was beautiful, which is pretty rare these days. Or at least, medium rare. Right on time, the 2 thieves walked into my office. They wanted their cut of the reward. I gave it to them. Just as they were about to leave, one of them turned. He said they were impressed with my work. He said they had a job offer. He said his client still wanted that briefcase. He asked if I could help him get it back. I said sure, but how much would they pay?